Welcome to LSC. It's Sports Time. I'm your host, Bob Hintz. Today I have with me Jake Cave, former baseball player at Kecoughtan High School, and now is part of the Yankee organization. Welcome. I like your shirt, by the way.
Thank you, thank you.
Well, but you started off playing ball, and not just baseball. You played football, basketball, did it all growing up in the Hamptons. Talk a little bit about when you first started playing.
I guess I started playing as young as you can start play, down at Phoebus Little League. That was cool. I was really young playing. I played a lot of travel ball when I was really young, played up a little bit. Played football, played basketball. I played basketball and football when I first started Northampton rec leagues. And baseball was always my thing because my dad was a big baseball coach and stuff.
Yeah.
But, basketball and football was fun too.
Well, talk a little bit about some of the coaches and some of the teammates you had.
Man, when I was young, I remember playing football, for instance, Rio Walker, who's now playing at UVA.
Wow.
Me and him played on the same team. Because that Northampton team, a lot of Phoebus players played for him. So, I played with a lot of those guys. I was young at the time, didn't really know any better, but then it was cool seeing them grow up and seeing them, and I was like, oh, hey, I played with them.
Right.
Down at Phoebus Little League, a bunch of guys, maybe not still playing baseball, but as far as I was friends with them all the way through high school.
Right.
I was a lot of different coaches, obviously, but, my dad was always there and that kind of thing.
And that's the thing with your dad being the coach over at the Prentice School and had a great run through the Hampton system and all in baseball. And, of course, I got to know him was through the basketball.
Right.
But you also played some basketball, but we'll get to that in a minute. But all the way through the rec league, playing these different sports and everything, you had to make your dad happy to do this because because you love when your son kind of follows in your footsteps.
Yeah, I'm sure he was happy with that. He never really pushed me to play sports or that type of deal, but that's what I wanted to do, and I did that. And him and my mom, they always came to all the games and that kind of thing, so it was fun.
Right. Now, as an 8th grader, you go over to Hampton Christian.
Right.
So your 8th, 9th, and 10th grader, you're over there. There's a different situation. Not only is it smaller classes, but you had some real good success over there.
When I went over to Hampton Christian, I honestly didn't really know what to expect. I just knew the coach over there. And
who was the coach?
At the time, Coach Mike Moore. And
right.
So I went over there, and it was fun. It wasn't what I was expecting because I got out there, and we had a lot of good players. I was out there with a lot of good players that I thought, private school to public school, but all those guys basically on my team could have played public school somewhere and been good players. We did compete with a lot of good public schools. We traveled. We played teams like Greenbrier Christian and those type of teams that recruit their baseball players.
Wow.
So I wasn't really expecting that, but we ended up in there's no limit to how many games you could play. So we would play 30 games in a season and play a lot of good competition, and it was fun. It was a good experience.
So you did a lot of traveling then through that, and that's different than in the peninsula. You got a schedule, and that's basically what you stick by. So being able to travel and playing that many games, you had some success in there. Talk about the success your teams had. How far you went in the playoffs and all.
I remember we were runner-up for state championship, and then my 10th grade year we actually won the state championship, which was really neat. Still got the big old ring. So that was cool. We always had success over there. There were some weaker teams maybe in our division, but Coach Moore did really well. We would go down to Currituck, North Carolina, play those public schools down there. We played Greenbrier Christian, which was like a nationally ranked baseball team. He would call most of the Peninsula District coaches and try to get games scheduled. Some teams would, some teams wouldn't.
Right.
So it was fun, and we won it all my last year there.
Yeah. Now, did you primarily do a lot of pitching, or were you play it outfield? But I know you're a tremendous batter.
At Hampton Christian, I played first base and pitched a lot.
Okay.
We really didn't have another first baseman. I could play first base. We had a good center fielder at that school and everything. So that's what I did. I played first base and pitched.
Okay. Now, what kind of success did you have pitching over there? I mean, do you know what your record was?
I don't know what my record was, but I recall I had pretty good, yes, sir.
Good stats.
Yeah.
Now, your dad was able to come and see, but that many games, your dad was probably able to see some of your games, even though that's during his season too, coaching over at the Prentice School.
Yeah, he would make his way out there. Some days we'd actually have a couple games in a day because he would schedule a lot of games. And so even if he had a game, sometimes he'd get out to to the games later and make it towards the end of the games at least.
Right. Now, something happened at the end of your sophomore year. You win your state with that, and then you're offered a scholarship to LSU, who just got done winning the College World Series. That had to be, oh man.
Man, it was cool. I remember how it happened. My travel team coach that I played for, he had a lot of connections, that type of deal. And I was getting some scholarship offers and stuff. And I told him, we were watching LSU play on TV. I was like, man, if LSU offered me, I'd have to go there. That place seems awesome. And so he got in contact with them. They came and watched me play. And that summer they watched me play a few times and they offered me a scholarship. I took, went down there. That place was awesome. So I went ahead and took a scholarship from LSU.
Wow. So, I mean, here you are going into your junior year. And I mean, if nothing else, you got a scholarship offer to LSU. That's got to make take a lot of pressure off of you in that sense. But then you transferred to Kickdown High School in 11th and 12th grade.
Right.
Played baseball and basketball your junior year. And I know as a basketball player, you were a shooter. Yeah, and coming off the bench and shooting's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, because you got to get in the mode of what's going on out there. But in baseball, you just fit right in.
Yeah, no, basketball was cool. That was a really cool experience because that year, obviously, we had a great team, and we had Tree Batten, all these guys, big name players, a bunch of D1 guys now. So, I mean, I knew, I was playing because I like basketball. I knew I wasn't going to have a big role. But it was cool to be able to come in and play. And, I was out there with a bunch of D1 basketball players, playing with them, which was awesome. That was really cool. And
and they can say I was with a D1 baseball player.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. If they ever try to joke on me or something with basketball, I'd come back with something with baseball. But yeah, baseball was baseball over there. Came right in. I just wanted to play.
And you fit right in with their team because you knew a lot of those guys that were on the team over there at Kickatown.
I knew most of those guys, and there were a lot of politics and stuff. But I just wanted, I was happy to come over and play. That's all I wanted to do. So. And
then at your senior year, when you graduate, you go down and play with the Peninsula Pilots. That's quite an experience, isn't it?
That was cool because all those guys, they were in college, and I never had a college experience, so I can look back and I still have a lot of friends on that team that I'm still really close friends with today. They go to Virginia Tech and go to UNCW and that kind of stuff. So it was cool because that was kind of like my college season. I was traveling around with a bunch of college guys, playing wooden bat, staying overnight, hard games with college, a bunch of college athletes. It was fun.
And then you get drafted in the 6th round by the New York Yankees. Man, that's hard to say no.
Yeah.
That decision, I mean, you didn't make a snap decision. There was something that you had to think about, probably talk with your parents about.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that process, because a lot of people not going to get a chance to, so we get to live through your experience.
Right. No, it was, it went down to the actual signing deadline. I knew I had, I could go to LSU. But at the same time, when it came down to it, my dream's always been to play, I want to be a big league baseball player. So this was my opportunity to do that. I could start when I was 18 years old. If I went to college, I'd be starting when I was 21, you know what I mean? And so that came into it, and I was like, I'm going to go ahead and do it because the Yankees actually will pay for my schooling if something does happen. So, which my mom loved and that type of thing. So
my mom was that way.
Exactly, yeah. So that's what it came down to. I was like, hey, if I need to go to school, I can. If not, hopefully I don't have to worry about that. I'd be a big league player.
Right. But talk a little bit about the process, because you go down there, spring training and all that, and you hurt your knee. And when did that happen?
Well, I actually, right after I signed in August, I went down and it was my first game I'd ever played. I was with the Gulf Coast League in the rookie ball, where all the high schoolers go when they're first drafted. And I come around, I'm on second base, I'd drawn a walk, I felt good, and base hit to left field, and they waved me around third, and it was obvious I was going to be out. It was a missile. The guy had a good arm. And the guy was out in front of the plate, so I got to take him out. I took him out. Played the rest of the game. Next day I woke up, my knee was all bruised up and swollen. I had a broken kneecap. So my very first professional game, I broke my kneecap, which wasn't fun. But
you played the rest of that game with that, and just
center
was
field.
it the adrenaline, you think, flowing through you that stopped the pain, or what?
I guess so, because after I did that, everybody was high-fiving me. Hey, good job. He was out in front of the plate. You got to do that. So I was all pumped up. And then the next morning, it didn't feel so good. Yeah.
Well, because of that, you missed going down to the Dominican League. Did that affect that?
I was supposed to go to the Dominican Instructional League is what they call it.
Right.
And I didn't get to do that because I was rehabbing for my knee. But that's all right. I went back in the off season and I worked out really hard to get back ready for spring training.
Right. Well, let's talk a little bit about the rehab, because you're going through the rehab, and a lot of professional guys that are injured in the same area, right, where you are. So you get to talk to them. How's it?
Well, most of that happened this year, because I went back to spring training after I broke my knee initially, and I was 100% that I thought played every single spring training game, did very well. I was running faster. I'd put on some weight and that kind of deal. And then the first day of extended spring training, I got a hit and I was running down to first and I couldn't even put weight on my knee. And I was like, man, not again. And they looked at it and I guess it just never healed right. So they had to go in and do surgery to repair it, which kind of bummed me out because I couldn't play my first real season. But it was okay because, like you said, I was in the training room and a lot of Jabba Chamberlain came down because he had a bad injury. Got pretty good friends with him, David Ardsma, all these big leaguers that came down, Michael Pineda, the guy we got from Seattle. And it was cool because I was in the training room with all these guys, and I'm seeing guys that are making multi-million-dollars a year going through the same
thing you
are. So it kind of helped a little bit because they could tell me stories, tell me about how.
That's what I was wondering. They had to talk to you about their experience coming up, and that's got to help you in what you're going through.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm all upset thinking I'm never going to make it to the big leagues because I got hurt my first year. They're telling me about when they were in college, they had to get Tommy John surgery, they did this, and now look at them. We've got all-stars that I was in there with, so that helped a lot. And I kind of got to be pretty good friends with them, and that was a big experience. That was cool.
Now, you were Player of the Year in your senior year in baseball,
sir.
And then you go and you run into these other rookies from colleges, from high schools and colleges. How did because everybody's got some reason they're there because they're pretty good. So how do you bond with those kind of people? I mean, because you got to throw your ego out the window, right?
Oh, yeah. Everybody knows everybody's good. So, I mean, I get there, and I remember it was kind of funny. I'm actually good friends with him now, but the guy I had a room with in the hotel when I first got there, I never liked too much in high school because we'd see each other around in the circuit and the showcases and that kind of, so you never really, but me and him became pretty good friends, and everybody kind of does that because everybody knows everybody's good. You're going to go out every day, play good competition. And then about half of the organization are Latin guys from Dominican Republic, Venezuela, that type of deal, who come from nothing, who literally would play for $2 out there, and they're giving it their all. So everybody's there for the same purpose, so it's cool.
It's got to be, and it's got to make you bring your A game every practice all the time. I mean, you can't. There's no downtime, right?
No, you see in high school, once every in a while, you see a guy throwing over 90 miles an hour. Man, every single day you go out there, you're seeing somebody throwing hard. And if they're not throwing hard, they've got the best curveball, changeup, whatever you'll ever see. So, yeah, I mean, it's.
Talk a little bit about the 757 area. The athletes here are just unbelievable. I mean, especially from the other side, there's quite a few in the pros. But what do you see as going away, and you look and you read the paper and all about what's going on in all athletics in the 757 area? Just what's your take on that?
Man, I'm proud of it. I always brag about it because a bunch of my friends and stuff down there, a lot of them be out from the middle of the country, places you never heard of before, and they'll always say, we'll be watching TV, the Uptons come up to bat, David Wright comes up to bat, we're watching Patriots games on, you see Maya, and I'm like, hey man, all these guys are from where I'm from, and I'm bragging about it and that, so it's cool, it's really neat.
That's kind of neat. We're going to kind of wrap this thing up, but I want to talk a little bit about what you're going to do now for the rest of this month, and then hitting November and all. Talk about that.
I've just been home for a couple of weeks. I'm kind of just resting now. It's been a long year, mentally and physically, so I'm just hanging out for the next week or so. And then, in November, I'm going to get back at it hard, lifting. I'll be over at Wayne Gomes' place.
Every day?
Every day. I'll hit, I'll throw, I'll run, I'll lift. And they'll call me back down to Tampa mid to late January. That's when they bring all the younger guys, and
Right.
I'll be in good shape for that. But then spring training doesn't even start for minor leaguers in March, so I've still got 2 months down there of hitting every day, lifting, and that type of deal. So I'll be in good shape and ready to go this season.
What does it take for a younger athlete to become a professional? What do they have to do?
Man, it's just it's just the normal thing you hear. It's a lot of hard work,
Yeah.
and just you can't really take any can't
take
really take too
any
many
days
days
off.
off. No, you gotta you just gotta be able to manage your time well as far as getting in the cage and
And that's the key right there, managing your
take care of your
time.
body is a big
Right.
deal. You got to do all that.
Eat right and the whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
because this is your profession. This is what you're going to try to make a living at.
Yeah.
So you can't go in it halfway.
Right.
You got to go in it all the way.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate you coming in.
Yes, sir.
I want to thank you for tuning in to LSC and Sports Time. I want to thank my special guest, Jake Cave. I'm your host, Bob Hintz. Till next time.